Long ago in a land called Moab, there lived a young woman named Ruth. She was kind, strong and full of quiet courage, though she didn't yet know how much she would need it. Ruth's journey. One day Ruth met a family who had come to Moab from far away from the land of Israel. There was Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their 2 sons. They had left Israel because there had been a terrible famine. No rain, no food, no harvests. Ruth became friends with the family and soon married one of the sons. Life seemed happy for a while. But then sadness came. Elimelech died. Later both of Naomi's sons died too. Naomi and her 2 daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, were left alone, 3 widows with broken hearts. After the years of loss, Naomi heard good news. The famine in Israel was over. The fields had food again. So she decided to go home. She hugged her daughters-in-law tightly. "You've been so good to me," she said, "but you should stay here in Moab. You're still young. May God bless you with new husbands and new lives." Orpah cried, kissed Naomi goodbye and turned back toward her home. But Ruth stayed still. Her eyes were filled with tears, yet her heart was steady. "Don't urge me to leave you," she said softly. "Where you go I will go. Where you stay I will stay. Your people will be my people and your God will be my God. Where you die I will die and there I will be buried." Naomi looked at her in silence. Ruth's voice trembled but did not waver. Her words were a promise of love, loyalty and faith. So the 2 women started walking together side by side back to the land of Israel. When Naomi and Ruth reached Naomi's hometown Bethlehem, the people whispered, "Is that Naomi?" Naomi smiled faintly, but her eyes were tired. "I went away full," she said, "and the Lord has brought me back empty." But Ruth did not see emptiness. She saw a chance to start again. It was the time of the barley harvest. Ruth asked Naomi, "Let me go to the fields and gather leftover grain behind the harvesters. Maybe someone will be kind to me." So she went out into the fields, working from morning till evening, picking up the bits of grain the workers dropped. Her hands grew rough, her back ached, but she didn't complain. She worked for love of Naomi and trust in Naomi's God. Boaz, a kind stranger. One day Ruth found herself gathering in a field that belonged to a man named Boaz. Boaz was a rich landowner, but more importantly he was kind and fair. When Boaz saw Ruth, he asked his workers, "Who is that young woman?" "That's Ruth, the Moabite woman who came back with Naomi," they said. "She's been working hard all day." Boaz went to her and said gently, "Listen, my daughter. Don't go to any other field. Stay here and gather with my servants. I've told the men not to harm you. When you're thirsty, drink from the water jars they've filled." Ruth bowed low. "Why are you so kind to me?" she asked. "I'm a foreigner." Boaz smiled. "I've heard about everything you've done for Naomi, how you left your family and homeland to be with her. May the Lord reward you for your kindness. May you find shelter under his wings." Ruth's heart lifted. For the first time in a long while she felt hope. When Ruth told Naomi about Boaz's kindness, Naomi's eyes brightened. "Boaz," she said, "is a relative of my late husband. He can be our family redeemer, someone who has the right to care for us and continue our family's name." Naomi thought for a long moment, then smiled. Ruth, this might be God's plan. Following Naomi's advice, Ruth continued working in Boaz's fields all through the harvest. She was always humble, gentle, and faithful. When the time was right, she went to Boaz and said, "You are a family redeemer. Please take me under your care." Boaz looked at her with deep respect. "You are a woman of noble character, Ruth. I will do all that you ask. But there is one man who is a closer relative. If he chooses not to redeem you, I will. I promise." Boaz kept his word. The next day, before the city elders, he made it official. He would redeem Naomi's land and take Ruth as his wife. The wedding day was full of joy. Ruth's heart overflowed with gratitude. She had left everything behind in Moab, but God had led her to a new home, a new family, and a new future. Later Ruth and Boaz had a baby boy. Naomi held the child in her arms and smiled brighter than she had in years. The women of the town said, "Naomi, your daughter-in-law loves you and is better to you than 7 sons." They named the baby Obed, who would grow up to be the grandfather of King David, and from David's family line would one day come Jesus, the Savior of the world. As the sun set over the golden fields of Bethlehem, Ruth looked down at her baby son and smiled. She remembered her promise, and she saw how God had kept his. Where she had once been a stranger, she was now part of God's great story of love and redemption. Conclusion. Love is shown through loyalty and kindness. Ruth's care for Naomi changed both their lives. Ruth didn't know what would happen, but she followed God faithfully. Faith means trust, even when you can't see the road ahead, because she trusts God is at work even in quiet places. No miracles or angels appeared, yet God was guiding her every step.